Context. My long-term boyfriend, 30, and I, 31 male, bought a house together last June. I have a big family with 8 cousins and around 20 nieces and nephews, and I'm the oldest of my generation. I also have a high-paying job, and so does my boyfriend. My boyfriend hasn't had any contact with his family for over a decade and has been coming to my family celebrations since before we were dating. Within my family, I'm known to be a bit of a splurger with gifts, and the kids are always excited about my gifts because they're usually big things like Lego sets and things of the sort. Now with the story. So today, or yesterday I guess, my family held a pre-Christmas celebration since we will not be able to meet up anytime this year after this week. It was held at me and my boyfriend's new house, the first family event we've had here. My boyfriend wanted to participate in the gift giving, so he went all out with gifts, spending an average of $100 per person. He was so excited to give everyone their presents since we spent money and a lot of time picking everything for everyone. The festivities were a hit and my boyfriend and I stepped away for a bit to have some quiet time together. While we were resting on the stairs, we overheard my cousin, nearly adult female, chatting with my niece, teen. They were joking around about a few family members and mentioned my boyfriend and how he was too gay to function. Honestly, we didn't mind it too much, it's a movie reference, and they're kids, but then another cousin, 24 male, came in and began making harsher jokes which the kids laughed at. These jokes brought my boyfriend to tears, and I refused to let that slide. When the gift trading began, I took the 3 aside and told them that I wasn't happy with their comments and that they weren't okay to say. I told them to apologize to my boyfriend because it was unfair, and they refused because they were just jokes we weren't meant to hear. I told them I didn't care and they had to apologize. They declined again, and I said to them that since they didn't respect him, they didn't deserve the presents we got for them. This got them to backtrack and say they'd apologize, but I told them it was too late, but they should still apologize. This is where I may have been too harsh. The youngest of my cousins told her mum, my aunt, that I was refusing to give her and the other 2 their presents, and she was angry about it. She told the parents of my niece and the male cousin's dad and partner about it, and all of them made a huge fuss. My sister and I kicked them out, and when they tried to grab their presents before leaving, I stopped them and rushed them out the door. The whole thing fell apart after that, and it all ended very abruptly. So, am I the idiot for kicking them out and taking away their gifts over jokes? Not the idiot. How are you going to treat someone so badly at their function? Personally, that would be a recension of all future invites of those involved. That they made it out to be a grab for the gifts is disgusting. They didn't come for family. They came to get free stuff, and that level of toxicity is never invited to our events. I'd truly not buy them gifts again, and to treat your boyfriend in such a manner only shows their respect for you and your life. They tried to grab their presents on the way out. What the heck? Pathetic. Oh, the entitlement is strong with these folks. You were not disciplining her awful, stupid children. You were not giving them something that they were not entitled to. Actions and words have consequences. What does being too gay to function even mean? Also, the "you weren't meant to hear" is one of the worst excuses I've heard. It's honestly even worse than "I was just joking." It sounds like OP and his SO are also too gay to give gifts to entitled or from a previous relationship. It was barely a relationship, honestly. Recently, my sister-in-law invited us to a restaurant for her birthday, and she told my wife to bring the family, which I took to mean my wife, me, our son, and my daughter. My in-laws have known my daughter since I've been with my wife. They've watched her grow up. I just assumed she was part of the family now. My wife went to my sister-in-law's house, and I planned to meet them at the restaurant with the kids a little later. Everything was fine at the meal, but once we got home and the kids were asleep, my wife got annoyed at me for bringing my daughter. She said I was wrong for bringing her because she's not family, and my sister-in-law didn't want her there. I've honestly never gotten the impression that my daughter wasn't welcome at family events on my wife's side, and no one told me not to bring her. A couple of in-laws have been messaging me and calling me things for bringing my daughter. My mother-in-law told me I was trying to force them to accept my daughter as family. Am I the idiot for bringing my daughter to my in-laws' party? Say what? After 6 years together, is this the first time they excluded your older child? You have sole custody of her, so where was she supposed to go if not with you? It sounds like you entered the twilight zone. You are not the idiot. What else has the wife been up to with his daughter when he wasn't around? Evil stepmother, red flags are waving. While the attitude of your sister-in-law and mother-in-law is disturbing, it's your wife's attitude that is outrageous. Bro, you need to have a serious discussion with your wife. Your daughter isn't family. The daughter you have sole custody of that your wife has known and lived with for 6 years, she's not family? It's probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but everyone is the idiot here. She sucks big time for not accepting the kid as her own. She's married to you, the child is hers. But you suck big time too for marrying someone that actively rejects your child. The poor kid deserves better than a maternal figure in her life who doesn't want her there. Exactly. What did your wife expect you to do with your daughter? Leave her home alone? Of course, you would be bringing your daughter of whom you have sole custody. If you don't throw down with your wife in a hard way over this, you are the idiot. You had your daughter first, and she and your son deserve to be protected from nasty toxicity that will poison their relationship amongst themselves and erode their self-worth and self-esteem as young children. I don't know if I'm the idiot or not for this. Usually my mom will host for Christmas, but she just can't keep up this year. My sister-in-law has been in the family for years, and in my opinion, she's a food snob. She has multiple allergies, nothing life-threatening, just unpleasant for her. Since we all understand allergies, we make sure to keep everything separate and not cross-contaminate. We don't want to risk her eating something, and instead of getting a rash, she needs a hospital visit. Now, the reason I think she's a food snob isn't due to her allergies, it's nitpicking the dish Mom makes each year. I've watched year after year, and she makes backhanded comments about the food. My mom told me to stay out of it, so I did. 2 years ago, there was a mess-up and it caused a reaction. It was a huge deal, and last year my mom wanted her to bring her own dish since she was worried she would mess up again. This caused a huge fight between them, and she threatened to pull the grandkids away if she couldn't be a good host and give them something they could eat. My mom caved. The dinner came and went, and she got backhanded comments about the food. My mom can't host anymore, and none of my brothers were doing it, so I stepped up. I called sister-in-law and told her she needed to bring her own meal. I told her I wasn't experienced in handling allergies and I couldn't guarantee the food would be safe, so I wouldn't make her something. I didn't tell her, but the other reason was I didn't want her complaining about my food. This caused an argument about me being a horrible host. I made it clear I wouldn't accommodate her and she doesn't have to come. My brother was angry, but my mother laughed when I told her. Edit, I would love it if sister-in-law hosted, but apparently her house is too small. Not the idiot, so her house is too small. My foot. Invite sister-in-law to use your kitchen to host the dinner while you take care of decor, set up, and perhaps a hand with prep and cleanup, if you think you can stand her that long. Your sister-in-law sounds like an entitled idiot. Agree, but I wouldn't say this is because of her allergies. She threatened your mother with not seeing her grandkids. That's unacceptable. Sister-in-law isn't normal. Usually at my family gatherings, everyone brings something. I'm the only vegetarian, so I make sure I bring that. Sister-in-law has no right to threaten your mother with not seeing the kids over this. Everyone's the idiot here. You downplaying allergies is weird. While yes, depending on the amount of exposure, your symptoms can be minor, rash, hives, etc., a high enough dose of any allergen will land you in the hospital. Period. That's what allergies do. You're wrong for acting like this is a non-issue. Her freaking out about being asked to bring her own dish and calling people poor hosts and threatening to cut contact with children is unhinged. You're just dysfunctional. I'm celiac and have food allergies. Anyone with multiple allergies who doesn't pack their own food is an idiot. And anyone who threatens someone's relationship with their grandkids over a meal is a deeply unwell person. This isn't about the allergies. This is about power. She threatened your mom with access to grandkids. I'll also point out that she and brother did not step up to take over cooking. I think you handled this the way she deserved. Shut it down early and put the onus on her. Don't be her doormat. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play. As a lot of you know, food is expensive right now. I was lucky enough to get a deer. I ground it up for ground meat. When you cook it, you just think it's regular ground meat, especially when you do recipes with spices like tacos. My issue is with my wife. We have 2 kids under 7. The oldest is fine eating it, but my youngest hates it due to my wife. The first time I made some meatloaf with it, my wife commented that it was Bambi. She doesn't hate the taste just when she knows it's deer. I know this because she liked the tacos and then refused to eat them after my wife made another comment about Bambi. She was 2 tacos in already. My wife doesn't like to eat it, but I think she would see that this is to save money and the food is fine. Our kids need protein and meat is so expensive right now. I've talked to her before, but she keeps doing it. I want my daughter to actually have some red meat in her diet since we can't afford to keep buying it. It came to a head today. I made some meat sauce and pasta. My youngest was already eating it and my wife came in and made a Bambi comment. She refused to eat the rest of her dinner. I had enough and told her I expected her to start working overtime for food since she stopped people from eating the deer meat. We got into an argument about it and she thinks I'm a huge jerk and disgusting for the deer meat. It isn't Bambi, it's Bambi's mum anyway. You are the idiot. She has an issue eating deer and you're making her eat it. Imagine if someone tried to make you eat dog meat and their response was, "It's cheap and it's just like any other meat." You might say it's not rational, but there's a lot of stuff we do in our lives based on emotion, you included. I don't know what her deer attachment is, but it doesn't really matter. Surely there's something else you can do to save money that doesn't upset your wife. I disagree. OP's not the idiot. And given the fact that there isn't an issue when it's not known that the meat is venison, it indicates the issue is with your wife. For some reason, she finds it funny or humorous to make these sick jokes at your and your child's expense. Your wife needs to grow up, and yes, if she insists on this behavior, then let her work overtime or a second job to cover groceries, and then she can buy what she wants. Right? Does she eat pork and call it Babe, or not eat cow because it's Elsie? Your wife is an idiot for calling it Bambi in front of young, impressionable kids. They form ideas from the parents, and this undermines your efforts to feed the family. You are doing what you can to feed your family, and your wife is doing sabotage. I'd ask her to keep her slick comments to herself and come up with a plan. If your wife wants beef or other meat, she can stop whining and provide it herself. Complaining about venison and behaving like it's a you problem instead of getting what she wants with her paycheck is idiotic behavior. I'm 22 male, a recent grad currently looking for a job. Not gonna lie, it's been tough as crap, so in the meantime I've been working in the trades for my uncle part-time. My mom offered to ask around at her work if there are any positions open for me, and they offered me an interview for the same role as her. It's a basic data entry job with some customer service related stuff. I prepped for the interview, probably more than I should have because it was where my mom was employed. Therefore, I wanted to make a really good impression. It was with her manager and a team lead. My mom had some really nice things to say about her manager, saying she was nice and how amazing it is to work with her, not so much the team lead, who she said is a bit of an idiot. It was through Zoom and I joined the call about 30 minutes early. To start, both of them joined 30 minutes after the time they said the interview would start, for which they did apologise. No pleasantries or small talk at all, they just asked me the first question related to the role off the bat. And 30 seconds into speaking, my mom's manager looked at her phone and started clicking away on it. Only the team lead was paying attention to me now, and it threw me off, but I kept talking. By the third question, I asked if everything was okay and she looked up for a split second. The team lead told me not to focus on that and to focus on the task at hand. I wasn't even finished speaking for the third question before he cut me off. Then he asked me to pretend like we were simulating a call where he would be the client and I would be the employee. I knew as soon as we started conversing that he was making this into some pathetic joke for himself when he pretended to be some absolute idiot frail old man who didn't know how computers worked at all, asking me questions that were basically trying to set me up to fail even though the people they're dealing with are competent corporate workers using the company's web application. I said word for word, "You know what guys, obviously I caught you at a bad time. You can't even give me the time to look away from your phone, and you know that I would never deal with a client like this. I'm just going to hang up." This was by far the most pathetic interview I've ever been in, and I hope next time you guys don't want to take an interview from a referral, you should say so. I don't think I've ever gotten that angry during an interview. I record all my interviews just for myself to learn from and review. When my mom asked me how it went, I showed her, and I thought she'd take my side, but she got angry saying that this is her place of work and I shouldn't have spoken to her boss that way. Regardless of how bad the interview was, I need to let go of my ego and emotions and suck it up. What the heck? I swear I feel that my response was warranted, but then again, she is right. She has to work there and maybe I did mess up her relationship with her boss. Am I the idiot? Damn, of course you're the idiot. As much as the interview might not have been ideal for you, you absolutely need to be professional at all times. You 100% let your ego and emotions take over. Working World 101, never burn a bridge. In this situation, your mom vouched for you and helped set up an interview. You've made her look bad, and being rude on the call, regardless of the interviewer being rude, could have strained that working relationship between your mum and them. Treat this as a learning curve. The people they're dealing with are competent corporate workers using the company web application. A million IT support workers just laughed. The idea that competent corporate workers wouldn't have the dumbest questions is laughable. OP, you need a serious reality check. Your poor mum. Not the idiot. Everyone here seems to think an interview is a one-way performance where you grovel for the privilege of making other people money, but it's not. Just as much as it's an opportunity for them to see if they want you to work for them, it's one for you to vet the company. If you were even 10 minutes late, you probably wouldn't get that job regardless of the interview. You wouldn't have got the job if you were on your phone and distracted while they were talking. They failed as soon as they were 30 minutes late with no heads up and then didn't pay attention. Do not work with companies that cannot even show basic courtesy in the interview, because they surely won't show it when you actually work for them and they hold power over you. The only reason what you did was a problem is because it might impact your mom's job.